Today marks another milestone in the annals of the history of Ekiti State, as we join the rest of the world to mark this year's World Environment Day. The theme, Forests, Nature at Your Service, supports the United Nations International Year of Forest, which underscores the many essential life-saving values that forests provide. For instance, no one is in doubt as to the intrinsic link between our quality of life and the health of the forest ecosystem. The World Environment Day was instituted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1972 at its Conference on Human Environment held in Stockholm, Sweden, where a decision was taken to set aside the 5th of June every year to create awareness and appraise the significance of our environment. The primary objective of the initiative was to provide a focus for policymakers in member nations of the United Nations to reaffirm their commitment to actions that will safeguard the earth and guarantee sustainable development. When viewed against the backdrop of recent happenings around the world, particularly in our own continent, Africa, where the ecosystem is being gravely devastated, this year's theme calls for a sober reflection. Our forests have not only been depleted at an alarming and worrisome rate, the attending soil degradation, the loss of flora and fauna, as well as the loss of biodiversity, have also become a serious concern to us all. The impact of deforestation, either due to man-made activities or natural factors, has to a large extent brought what the entire planet Earth is now experiencing, as evident in the rate of climate change impact. Of greater concern is the fact that these impacts are very much evident in global warming, resulting in the rise in sea level, heavy floods and water salinity, drought, deforestation, desertification, land degradation, poor agricultural yields, and many more. Since the entire world is a global village, no nation can be insulated from the environmental impacts of climate change. The question to ask at this juncture is, where do we stand as a state in this global network action to combat, mitigate, and adapt to climate change impacts and other environmental challenges? This is where the theme for this year's World Environment Day, Forests, Nature at Your Service, becomes very relevant to us in Ekiti. The average Nigerian sees the forest as a large, dense growth of trees, particularly on vast areas of land covered in trees and other plants growing closely together. The forest is much more than this simplistic definition, as I'm sure you all know. And let me quickly draw attention to man at creation. God put man in a forest, though called the Garden of Eden, to till, maintain, and eat of its resources. The same law of nature, handed over to man at creation, stands today as most of man's essential needs, either for feeding, clothing, and shelter, are all derived from the forest. Interestingly too, some of the greatest scientific researchers derive their products in various fields from materials provided by the forest. The usefulness of the forest is also glaring in paper and wood industries, parks and wildlife or games reserves, and in our recreation centers. Forests serve as windbreaks, control of soil erosion, and shelter belts in the dry parts of the Sahel or desert areas of the country. Indeed, many of us would contend that part of the reasons why we have heavy windstorms affecting our households these days is the absence of trees and forests to serve as windbreaks in our various communities. Therefore, the need not only to preserve our forests, but also to see it as crucial to our survival should be the message to all of us as we join the rest of the world in this day's celebration. I'd like to implore all of you to join hands with the state government in embarking on projects to complement its forest rejuvenation and reforestation. You are aware that apart from the fact that our forests contribute to the mitigation of the impact of climate change, they also help in no small measure at combating the problem of desertification, empowering our rural communities economically, and creating green jobs among our youth. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if our dream for a better and sustainable, nature-friendly environment is to become a reality, our tree planting campaign drive must go beyond annual ceremonies and mere rhetoric, but rather it should become a way of life for all of us. Other environmental challenges, such as those of pollution, waste and waste disposal, general sanitation, and many other environmental related challenges must be tackled headlong for the corporate survival of our people. Thus, the peace and prosperity of our environment, the protection of its entire human and natural resources depend on our commitment. On the part of the government, we shall continue to sensitize and mobilize the people towards ensuring sustainable and friendly environment in Ekiti State, as this will soon be practically demonstrated by all of us here. Through tree planting and a walk along major roads in Ado-Ekiti to increase people's awareness level on the importance of greening. I also find it fulfilling to announce that this government will continue to take proactive measures in combating the menace of flood and soil erosion through reforestation and afforestation, and will in due course develop and implement policies that encourage sustainable use of forests, cordoning off areas inhabited by endangered species, and promote forest restoration where they have been depleted. Establish Ekiti State Climate Change Trust Fund and reduce greenhouse gas emission through capacity building projects for climate change in our dear state. In concluding, I wish to challenge the good people of the state to come together and ensure that the state transits to a low carbon green economy in order to capture the opportunities that will emerge. It is now my honor and privilege to declare the 2011 World Environment Day open and wish all of you a happy celebration. Thank you. God bless you.
Aren't you supposed to remove that nylon?
No, the nylon.
No, the nylon will without.
Nylon does not without part of it.
Could you please move a bit, please? Move back.
Oh, yeah.
yẹ kó já. Wọ́n jáde ẹ̀.
Shoulder. Oh, who has that?
Sister.
No, no. Galeno.
Ẹjọ́ máa mú ma ní ìdílé kan.
Kí ni ọ̀tọ̀ máa fọwọ́? Kí ló ṣe ọ́?
Kí ló ń gbọ̀n náà rẹ̀? Ta ló gbé bọ́ọ̀lù? Èmi ò máa tó.
Not that way now.
You said? You thought I don't know how to farm.
Yes, this is fun.
I'm the one to give you the certificate now. You can't be a student and the lecturer at the same time. What grade?
Fẹ́ẹ̀ni